Hello viewers, welcome to Corpo Any. Online maintenance and service app inside. Today we need to see this here the remaining parts of the chat message screens. Need to develop here the bottoms, send message, text, UI need to develop as well as need to put this here the image picker buttons and to use this here the image picker libraries inside here. And let's start how to write down first of all making here the UI and then after need to integrate this here the image pickers library. Now need to go inside the chat message screens and to write down here the bottoms and we need to one by one so need to writing here the codes. Now first of all need to see this here the UI. We need to look like this here the UI drawing here, and this is the full screens like this show. Already need to creating this here the UI. Now need to making here the another parts of the remaining parts of the screens. Now, first of all, need this here the bottom navigation bars. So need to develop here. Inside, we need to create here the containers, and now need to give this here the decorations and to set this here the box decorations and to set here the color, T color, secondary colors because need to same colors need to set here. That's why need to set here the secondary colors like this configures, and also need to remove this here the space no need now. Need to cleanse and to set like here, and now need to give this here the inside the value, then after need to automatically show this here the UI. Now first of all need to set here the padding const dot which is insert, need to write down here the only, and to set here the left need to give this here the 20, and right also need to set here the 20, and also need to set this here the bottom padding, so need to write down here the 20 plus, need to call this here the media query, and we need to use this here the insets of the context and to get this here the view insets. First of all need to fix this here issue. View insets, so need to given this here the value, dots, so need to call this here the bottom, and top need to set here the 10 like here setting here, and to check this here the media query, to remove this here first value like these settings. And now need to create first of all the row and to fix this here the scroll issue, to set here the childs and to set here the row and child like this settings here and to show like this here. Now we need to configure this here the alignments, main axis alignment. First of all need to set this here the start, then after need to set here the cross axis alignments, need to setting here the end, because you need to text, if you increase this here the text lines then to big heights need to increase automatically, that's why need to give this here the ends, and to controls at this positions need to show, that's why need to set here the cross axis alignments as a end. Now we need to creating here the first of all the send buttons need to developing here, in quell buttons need to develop here for the image pickers UI in quell, and to give this here the on tab event inside him to write down here the open image picker codes, but now need to only making here now UI and complete this UI, then after need to write down here the image pickers codes, need to writing here, now need to write down here the childs, and to create here the containers, give this here the heights is a 55, and also width give this here the 55. Now need to create here the decorations, box decorations, set here the color T color, primary colors need to set here, and also need to give this here the border radius, you need to set here the circulars. 13 is goods, and then after you need to set here the elements as a centers. And now need to draw this here the image. Need to write down here the childs and to set here the image assets, and to give this here the camera image. Now need to copy relative path and to paste this here. Also need to give this here the width and height. So need to set here the 13s like here's, and we need to save this here and look like this here the showing this here the image picker buttons. And now need to developing here the text fields. We need to develop first of all. Now making here the some width space. Need to give this here the size box width. Need to set here the heights because need to buttons and text fields between. Need to give this here the some space like the settings. And now need to call this here the expand. And again so need to set here the containers, and we need to create here the containers. First of all, create here the childs, and we need to write down here the row childs. Now first of all need to making here the padding const edges is set. Need to write down here the symmetric. Horizontals need to give this here the 8, and verticals also need to set this here the 4. And then after need to set here the UI decorations. Need to draw here the UI decorations, box decorations. Set here the color t color, not t colors. Use this here the colors white, and want to go this here the border radius circulars. We need to set this here the 13s is good. And also need to set here the some configurations for the send buttons. First of all need to develop here to write down here the text buttons, and on press events we need to write down here the send button click event. And now we need to draw here the image. We need to write down here the image assets, and to call this here the image names as a send. Now need to copy relative path and to paste this here. Then after so need to setting this here the height and width. We need to set this here the 35, and also width we need to set this here the 35. Remove unused parameters and like the settings here, and to send buttons like this showing here. So now another controls need to drawing this here the text fields. Now need to draw. Need to write down here first of all the expand keywords, and we need to set here like now we need to write down here the constraint box. We need to develop here because need to give this here the maximum height. Need to set here the hundreds. First of all need to making here the text fields, then after need to drawing here this constraint box. Now need to set here the one by one's property. Need to set here the maximum lines. Need to set here the null line. Set here null because need to increase, and auto corrections need to set this here the false. Then after need to decorations need to set here the input decorations. First of all need to set this here the content padding. Write down here the const edges inset. Also need to set this here the 12, and maybe yes content padding. Then after need to set this here the enable borders. Need to write down here the border input border null, then same as focus border input border null like this setting here. And then after need to write down here the in text. Need to write down here the type of message here. Then after need to int text styles. So need to setting here in styles. Set here the text styles, and to set this here the color t color placeholder colors need to set here. Then after need to set here the font size 15 like here, like the settings here. give this here the comma and UI formatted and look like this here the showing here. Also need to send this here the styles, need to again copy and control styles, need to set this here, paste here, and now need to set here the primary text colors and need to set here the constraint box here, constraint, and now need to set here the constraint, need to write down here the const box constraint, give this here the max height, set here the 100. Like these configurations are the needs and to saving here and need to write down here and to test this here and like this here maximum hundreds lines need to show here hundreds with heights need to showing here like here UI need to perform here. Now we need to write down here the image pickers codes need to common codes need to write down here. First of all need to import this here the library. Now need to open here the space and to use this here the image pickers 1.1.02 need to use this library, need to install this here first of all. Now need to copy this and open this here the swap space and to put in here like this, and also need this here the some permissions. Go inside the apps source and to main folders and to select this here the androids inside the android manifest and to give this here the camera permissions. Need to write down here camera permissions and to uncomment this code. Need this here the camera permissions and read external storage permission. Two permissions are the needs for the image pickers, and also need to give this here the permissions for the iOS. We need to need this here the ns camera uses descriptions and ns photo library uses descriptions. Two permissions needs inside the iOS. Now need to go inside the iOS folder, select here the runner folders and to select this here the info playlist, and then after need to put this here the two permissions here, need to paste this here. You need to use this here the ns camera uses descriptions and ns photo library uses descriptions. Two permissions need to provide and to use this here the image profiles and to sending this here the user needed. Like this you need to explanation why I need to use these permissions for these apps and writing here. Now we need to create share the UI. First of all, the image pickers need to developing here. Now need to create here the one stateful widgets need to develop. Now need to go inside the lib folders and select here the UI commons widgets and to create here the new files and to give this here the name as a image picker dot dots like this. Write down here and to rename here and to image picker view. Maybe right here screen is good. Name like here. Now create here the stateful widgets and to give this here the name image picker screen, and need to import this here the material dependency. Now first of all need to declare this here the image pickers variables. Need to declare here the finals picker is equal to need to write down here the image picker like this initialize and also auto imports this library here the image pickers, and then after need to write down here the UI. Now need to call this here the containers. Inside we need to give this here the width. Use this here the context dot width multiply by 0.9 here, not widgets width like here, and also need to set this here the height, copy here, paste this here, and now need to set here the 7 like this, and then after need to setting here the padding for these controls. Need to write down here the holes 15, and then after need to write down here the decorations box decorations. We need to set this here the color white, colors white, And then after need to create here the border radius circulars. We need to set this here the 15. Then after border shadow we need to give this here the box shadow. Colors black 12, and we need to set here the value of here the blur radius pores. And spread radius also need to set this here the pores. Like this configurations for the drawing here the pop-ups. Now need to drawing here the UI. Need to use this here the childs and to create here the columns. Childs need to set here, first of all need to set this here the main axis alignments. Need to set here the center like here. Then after need to set this here the text. Need to write down here the text as a image picker. Set here the styles, text styles. Set here the color, T color, primary text, and also need to set this here the font size. Need to set here the 20, and font weight we need to set here the bold like here. Like this configurations for the titles, and now need to give this here the some space height box, and to set here the heights need to give this here the 20 is good like this here configures. And now need to drawing here the UI for the image, create here the row, and to write down here the expand widgets, and to calling here give this here the comma, and to write down here the text button on press event, and to creating here the UI as I need to write down here the icon, and to set here the icon dot camera arts, and also need to set the size 100, so need to set here, and also need to set here the colors, T color primary text colors need to set here like this, and set here comma like here. Then again we need to create here the library pickers. Need to set here the image, and look like this here setting here. Then after need to developing here the set here the titles. So need to write down here. Need to create another row. Now need to copy again and to paste this here. And we need to set this here the to text. Now need to copy here the this text property, and to replace to here again. Also replace here icon. Now first ones need to give this here the take a photo, take photo, and second one is a need to give this here the gallery like here, and also need to change this here the text alignment, centers, copy here, paste this here, and need to set here the 17, remove here the bold, so copy and to replace with here this font size like this configures. And now need to give this here the some space between here the UI, and to develop this here the cancel button like here. Now we need to create here the row, and to create here the childs, and to write down here the main axis alignments. So need to set here, and also need to write down here txt button, text buttons, events inside to set here the context dot pop events. Need to call this here. Now need to write down here the text. Now need to copy this text property, paste here, And now need to set this here the name as a close, and to set this here the font weight bold, and also need to set this here the color as a red, like yours. Set here const value. Like this configurations for the pop-upping, so need to showing here. And now need to write down here the image pickers buttons, we need to write here, and we need to set here the properties for the use here. Need to give this here the final, and to write down here the functions, and to pass here the inside the parameter as a string, and to give this here the did select function name, like this write down here, and to importing here the parameters. Now we need to write here the functions, and we need to call this here futures get image pickers image camera synchronize methods need to call here. Now need to write down here the try catch here, and to write down here the final image pick file picker file picked file is equal to, need to write down here the awaits, and to call this here the picker dots, need to call this here the image pickers, and to give this here the source image source dots, need to write down here the camera, like here's. And now need to write down here's if pick files not equal to null, then to call this here the widgets dot did select, and to pass this here the value of the path, need to give this here's semicolons, and also need to call this here the context dot pop. Same as now need to, and to debug prints to string for this error. Same as now need to copy these functions, and to paste this here, and to change this here the titles to image gallery, like this writes, and to set this here the gallery image, and we need to save this here. Now we need to write down here the open this here the image pickers codes, we need to write here. First of all, now need to go inside here the message folders, and to select this here the this image, and now need to find out here the click events of the opening here, need to write here, use this here navigator dot push context, and to pass this here the pop-up layout, and to pass this here image picker screen, and to write down here select path, and to print this here the path debug print, like this sets. And now need to go to screens, and to configure these two buttons, If here the camera, then to call this here the gets image camera, call here, and here get gallery, like this calling here. And now need to test here, click on buttons and look like this here the showing here the UI. Need to fix this here the bottom issue. Need to remove here the space, set here the 8, and also need to set here 8, and look like this here the showing for this layouts. And also need to set here the colors. Give this here the barrier colors, set. Check here the property and to give this here the bg colors. Close this here again, opens, and to set like this here the some dark shadow. Need to configure here, and opening this here the take image and showing here now not work. Be against restart, and to ask here the permissions. Camera simulator inside the not work, and Android inside the emulator inside the working camera. Now app is running, and you need to test here. Again go here, select here, take gallery, and to opening this here the allow full access, and to select this here, and also need to show this here the path, debug path. You need to show here debug consoles, and look like this here the given this here the image path. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new user, so please subscribe my channels and press the notification bell icon. You can get every new video notifications and awesome content. If you have any questions, so please write down the comment sections. I will help you and sort out your issue. Everyone have a nice day. Goodbye and take care.